What's up, guys? Zooch here. Gonna record another Eternal Draft video. I haven't played since my last recording. Well, I played some ranked ladder, but I haven't done a draft since then. So I don't know. I presume still number one because I haven't lost since then. But I don't know. People pass you all the time. I just got handily whooped in the top 8 of a duelist world qualifying event. So I'm a little on edge, but hopefully I can I don't know, draft as good as normal. We'll see. All right, here we go. Whoop. Okie dokie. Woo, this pack has a lot of goodies. So my immediate first thoughts are the following. None of these cards are worth taking over these cards. Execute's probably just worse than Suffocate, although this card can be really good, so I don't know if that's true or not. Reliquary Raider is an okay rare. I mean, it costs 5 and it's a 4/4, so its stats aren't that great, but being able to draw a card whenever you attack is pretty insane. That having been said, I tend to err on the side of not drafting time if I can, so I'd prefer not to take that. I'm almost certainly going to take this Flame Blast because that card is borderline unfair if you can just dome your opponent for 8. So I'll take it. I'm not in love with being in fire, but I think it's probably better than Execute or Suffocate. Certainly better than Gorgon Fanatic. I would take either of these two shadow cards over that. So we'll see what happens if I go this way. Okie dokie. This pack leaves a lot to be desired. I don't particularly think Brimstone Altar is a very good limited card. Unless you have just like the best deck possible, you're really not going to want to be sacrificing your units. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. Man, the next options we have are Windshaper, Runic Revolver, Finest Hour, and that's it. I don't really see myself taking a Dispel or Devour over either of these things. Or a Horde Worship. Of course, Chai has been quiet for the past 20 minutes and now decides to start barking. I don't love Runic Revolver. It's okay, but I mean, you're paying 5 mana for a 2-power attack weapon, which is like kind of almost worse than Mithril Mace in every way. Like, you can't kill bigger threats, and it's pretty easy to pick off, despite the fact that it's quick draw. I'll probably take this Windshaper. It's really between Windshaper and Finest Hour for me. The reason I would consider Finest Hour is because Rakano, I think, is a pretty good draft archetype. But this is a really solid card. Like, I could abandon this Flame Blast and take this Windshaper and just go from there. Maybe drafting Feln, or I don't know. Maybe even drafting, I don't know what the name for the blue-red faction is, but that faction. So let's go ahead and take Windshaper. Okie dokie. I know easily what card I'm going to pick here. And it's a pet card of mine. Static Bolt. I think Static Bolt is awesome, and I take them often and early. Maybe you guys have seen some of my pro plays where I've, I think, bolted Sir Rhino for like 14 one turn with some Static Bolts. I had 7 in my deck. Alrighty, so we're probably taking this. Other cards worth considering. I like to talk about what other cards in the pack because it sort of gives an insight into signaling, which someone had asked about in the last comment section of my last video. What is signaling? So I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can, which is basically signaling is reading what's available in the pack to sort of discern what the person upstream of you is drafting. If you can figure that out, there's a higher chance that you'll get better cards later as they are not drafting those cards. So it does look like Cambrai is open, or at the very least Time. I think that card's pretty solid. This card is very solid. And there's, I guess, a couple other cards. There's no red in the pack, which is worrisome, which means he or the person right before him had to have taken a red card. That kind of makes me think that this Flame Blast is not going to be taken. We're going to take Stacked Bulk regardless, but this sort of gives me pause about pursuing the red. Not a whole lot of shadow either, so maybe that's being picked up as well. We'll see. Boop. Hello. All right. The pick here I think is pretty easy. I'm going to take Soaring Stranger. It's on color, the one color that we're like pretty sure we're going to be drafting here. We've gotten a couple solid picks so far. The only other cards I would consider, I think at this point, are Blackguard Sidearm, Stone Scar Banner, Amber Acolyte, and Granite Acolyte. This only because we could maybe go into blue-red, which is not a terrible color combination. I explained in my last video how much I like Blackguard Sidearm if you're going into an aggressive deck. If we're going into a Legion, this could be a really solid pickup because it fixes our mana. And I like taking random banners because who knows what you're going to get, right? But this is the 3/3 flyer for 4, and that's great. What a dagger. What a dagger. What a dagger. Okay. This is not a very good pack. So we've got two options here, in my opinion. Blackguard Sidearm or Blade Can Apprentice. If we take Blade Can Apprentice, we're sort of going down this path of blue-red. This is not that great of a card. It's okay if you can get it down early. But blue doesn't have a whole lot of equipment. Does it have any equipment? I don't know. It has like Cloud Skate saddle, right? So it's sort of hard to like buff up. Golly. I'm kind of tempted to take it just to see if we can draft like an off pair, but I think I'm just going to take this Blackguard Sidearm. I'm not going to take Jotun Warrior. I think Jotun Warrior is pretty miserable as a card. It's 5 mana, which is an awful lot, and it's only a 3/5. So like, I don't know. You can do a lot more with 5 mana than play a 3/5 with literally no abilities. I know that we've got this, which is a 2/5, but the ability on this is insane. So I'm going to take the Blackguard side. I'm sort of hoping that we go into Feln again. I don't love the idea of doing 2 drafts of the same archetype in a row, but I'm going to play with what's given to me. So maybe we should be taking this red card, but whatever. We are rewarded. Okay, so there are 4 potential cards here since these are the colors we're going for. One of which I think is an easy dismiss. I don't think Venom Dagger is very good. I just think Back Alley Bouncer is not very good. There's so many things that are just way better. Like, we're paying 2 more mana, and all it has is 2 power more, and this has an insane ability. So I think that it's pretty clear. Like Justice and Fire have 3/3s for 3, and they have awesome abilities. So the only other option is this guy, but I like being aggressive if I can. When you're aggressive, you get to win games that you have no business winning because your opponents stumble. You can win that way. So take this guy. Ooh, don't mind if I do. That poor Flame Blast. Oh well. I don't foresee either of these 2 cards making our deck, but I'll take the Aerial Ace because I think it's slightly better. Yes! I love this guy, especially with Blackguard Sidearm. Get in the deck. That's a late Xenon Destroyer. I find that card very good. Alright, let's hide these 2 things. Alright. So, what is the pick here? We're pretty solidly in Feln at this point in time. 4th Tree Elder is a very good card. Smuggler Stash is a pretty solid card if you can get a good deck around it, but it often goes pretty late, so I wouldn't take it high anyway. I think it's pretty obvious between Jotun Hurler and Steward of the Past. The other day I was talking about how to step away from the notion that just because a card is good in Constructed, that will necessarily translate to Limited. This is one of those cards that's good in Constructed and Limited. I mean, it's a 4 mana 3/5, which is a solid stats. Like, compare this to Jotun Grunt, right? They're both 3/5s, but this costs less, has deadly, and has a great ability, right? You can do so much more than that. So we're going to take this. The Jotun Hurler is pretty solid, but I think this guy is great. Yeah, all right. I think it's pretty obvious it's the feeding time here. Removal is one of the ways that you win games in Limited, and feeding time is just about as good as it gets. So, boop. Oh my. This card has just nothing for us. So what do? We could take this Violent Gust, but I don't really foresee myself wanting to play that. Oh golly, what do we do here? I'm going to pass on the Violent Gust. I'm going to take either the Stone Scar Maul or the Valkyrie Wings. Both of those cards are very, very good. They're both double cost, but I think that's fine. I'm probably going to take the Stone Scar Maul because we've got that Flame Blast, and I could foresee a future that involves playing a 3-color deck with very heavy color requirements on each. This card's really solid, so let's get in the deck, please. Wow. Could have had a solid Combri deck too, maybe. Take Scavenging Vulture. It's not great, but it's not great. We'll take Execute here. Execute's a pretty solid removal spell. The fact that it domes them for 2 is pretty nice, and the fact that it can get anything is also pretty good. Yeti Snowslinger is a card that I would like to have in the deck over, a Scavenging Vulture, but we'll take this Execute. Torch is very late here. I am going to take the Torch. We're slowly but surely moving more and more into like a 3-color deck. Guess we'll take Furnace Mage. It's better than Spirit Train. Alright, well, take this guy. None of these cards are going to see play in our deck, so we'll take that one. None of these cards are going to see play in our deck, so we'll take this one. I'm going to take the Rakano Banner. Oh, man. Kind of going off the rails a little bit here. Did not pick up all the cards that I wanted to there. So let's put this Flame Blast back in the deck. I don't know what's going to happen here. Alright, we've got Lethrai Ranger, Amethyst Acolyte. Crowd favorite potentially. I'd still prefer to stay in Feln if I could. Taking a shadow card here. Let's go into Feln or Stone Scar. Let's be honest here. We could definitely be Stone Scar too. I mean, our blue cards are not very good. Well, that's not true. Our blue cards are mediocre at best. So Soaring Stranger, Aerial Ace, Wind Shaper. These are all whatever cards. Static Bolt. Yeah, I could see us just transitioning right to Stone Scar here. We got a lot of solid blue cards last pack, but our red cards are pretty good. We'll also try to keep an eye out for some Seek Powers if we get an opportunity to see them. So let's take this Lethrai Ranger and go from there. Okay, Shadowlands Guide. It gets Slumbering Stone back, and that's about it. I don't really like that, nor do I like Lethrai Nightblade, which I kind of see as an underwhelming card in general. So to me, it sort of boils down to Stone, Scar Magus, and Serpent Trainer. I think Serpent Trainer in a vacuum is probably better. Stone Scar Magus is a very solid card and is a removal spell, but Serpent Trainer is one of those cards that slots into decks that I like to draft, which is tempo-based decks that tap your guy, get in with my flyers, race them in the air and sort of roadblock them on the ground while you kill them up from above. But since we are not sure exactly if we're going to stay with blue or not, I'm going to take the Stone Scar Magus, especially since it's good in a red-black deck. I guess we're taking this Runic Revolver. As I said in the past, I don't think Yeti Spy or Pilfer is very good. Violent Gust is a fine card, but I think this is better. Okie dokie. So at this point, I think we don't have to necessarily abandon primal, but it is not nearly as good right now as I would like it to be. So I think I'm going to pass on this Gorgon Swiftblade, and I'm going to take the Felm Banner instead. Get rid of this Aerial Ace. Soaring Stranger, Windshaper, Feeding Time, Static Bolt, Gorgon Swiftblade. Those cards are fine for right now. I'm going to take this. Can splash that. Splash another Feeding Time, too. That's a late Feeding Time. Okay. Haunting Scream is not a card that I think needs to be in our deck. Yeah. Devour, however, I think is a pretty solid card. In this archetype where we can devour like a Slumbering Stone or something like that. Devour our Stone Scar Magus or something like that. Well, that's a second Rakano banner. I might take it just to make splashing a green card possible. If we get like a really, really good Rakano card. Not these. Let's do that. I don't really like Spirit Drain. Very expensive. Very expensive. That's Mr. Dink from Doug. Dark Wisp is an okay card here. I like it better in Temper. Temper is an okay removal spell. Like picks off annoying X1s, but there aren't a whole lot of targets that would like. The 3/1 snake guy that flies is a good target for this, but I don't know. Dark Wisp is great in this archetype. Maybe we can pick up a Combustor too. What is going on? I don't even understand what's happening right now. I guess I'll take Teriax Hatchling. Sure, whatever, sure. No, poop. Do we want another Warband Chieftain? Or do we want an Amethyst Acolyte? I don't think this is a Blood Beetle deck. I think this is an Amethyst Acolyte deck. More than a Blood Beetle deck. Warband Chieftain's really good if you can... let's go to Hellfire Rifle. If you want like a big old 5-drop. Like, I'll reiterate my critique of Jotun Grunt. This guy's a 5/5 for 5 with an insane ability. Jotun Grunt is not. Warband Chieftain. Is that good in our deck? Probably. We don't have great fixing for our 2 colors, or 3 colors, I guess, so. I'm going to take it over the Acolyte. I think we could get an Acolyte later. We'll see. Are you kidding me? There's 3 lands here, but none of them are the ones we wanted? Gotta be joking. Alright, well, we'll take a Stone Scar Magus. It's a pretty solid addition to the deck. Ah, yeah. Oh, ooh. Which one of these is better? Let me prune our list here. I think Gorgon Swiftblade's a little too expensive for what we want. We don't need 2 Sabotage. Probably don't need a Static Bolt if we're splashing. So right now we're splashing 2 Feeding Times, Soaring Stranger, Windshaper. I don't even think we need the Soaring Stranger or the Windshaper. We have no other flying creatures. So let's get rid of that. This is such a good card, but a Dark Return is one of those things that's like, the longer the game goes on, the better it gets. I'm going to take this Dark Return. Ugh. Barf. Really not interested in playing Back Alley Bouncer. Is there any world in which we would want Warhelm? Probably not. Warhelm is not a very good limited card in my opinion. It is, unless you have an extremely aggressive deck, you are going to be trading 2-for-1 most of the time. So by that, you know, you'll slap this on your guy, attack, and I don't know, trade up your creature, but you're still spending 2 resources, your creature and the weapon, to clear out one of their creatures or like a removal spell. The charge isn't worth it, nor is the Warcry. So what I think I'm going to take here is actually the Combri Stranger. Not that I need the fixing. I just want some 2-drops. Rapid Shot seems like an easy pick here. This is garbage. We have 2 Arcana banners. We never saw a Seek Power either. Or maybe we did and I just ignored it. I'm going to take this because I could potentially splash it. It's better than this guy. I don't see myself playing it, but... Oh my god. Okay. I'm going to take the Granite Acolyte over the Recogulator because we don't have a whole... Like, if we had another Devour or a Combust or something, we'd be fine taking the Recogulator, but right now we've got plenty of 4-drops and not a whole lot of 3-drops, so it sort of helps our curve a little bit. I can see playing this, right? Yeah. Ooh, get in the deck. Man. This is going to help our mana so much. It's really a shame that we're passing this frontline Cyclops, but like we have 2 feeding times that I want to be able to cast, so I'm going to play this Film Banner. Hey, that is a great pickup for us. Hey! I think we want this Devour. Do we want a second Devour? Do we want an Assembly Line? Where were these cards earlier? Does Assembly Line do anything in our deck? I'm going to think the answer is no. Like, we have 1 Devour. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and take the Devour. Alright. Alright, we did the draft. It didn't really turn out all that great. It's an okay draft. We got some good removal spells. I'm going to build it like I did last time and then come back and talk about what I did and did not use. Alright, see you in 2 seconds for you, but like 5 minutes for me or something. Alright, we're back. And one of the very first things that you're going to notice, and potentially to the detriment of my, I don't know, reputation here in the Eternal community, is that I'm playing 46 cards as opposed to 45 cards. I've never been hesitant to go up by a card in Limited. To me, the more important aspect is getting the land ratio right. I originally had 18 lands in the deck and thought that's too few for what we really want to be doing. But we've got 2 Devours, but we've also got a pretty high top end, plus this Flame Blast, which is basically like a 6-drop as well. I wanted to make sure to hit the cards, and I didn't want to cut one of the random dudes or spells in here. They're all pretty strong, with the exception of maybe the Scavenging Vultures or the Grenadindrone. I needed some things lower to the ground though, so those I think are a little bit necessary. We'll see. Anyway, I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. I'm pretty disappointed that we sort of fumbled around at the beginning and we could have moved into, I don't know. I felt we drafted well. Like we picked up on the signal that blue was not open and red was open. But I think we could have taken some maybe stronger red cards at some point in time. I don't exactly know. This looks okay. I kind of see us getting about 5 wins with this. We've got plenty of removal. We've got, Stone Scar Maul and the Revolver, these Stone Scar Maguses, Feeding Times, Furnace Mage, Execute, Torch, Flame Blast. Yeah, plenty of removal, actually. We just sort of have like a shitty bunch of creatures. We're only running 15 units. So we'll see what happens. Really wish we could have gotten a smuggler stash, or I don't know, an on color stranger, but it just felt like all the fixing was not in our colors. I have a stranger that I'm not playing, but it's a Combria stranger, so I don't think it's really worth shoehorning in here. Anyway, why don't we jump into some games and we'll see how we fare.